everyone. How are you? I'm Carmine Smith with Principles for Life Ministries. This is probably my first recording that I've had post COVID. Post a lot of things, post illnesses, post just post. So this is going to be my first post. I've kind of been in the wilderness. I've been in an area where I felt like uh, I felt inadequate. COVID did a whole lot of things to a whole lot of people. I lost a lot of family. I lost a lot of friends. I lost a lot of things. In the process of that, within myself, I went through some things. I personally went through some illnesses and some stuff like that. There's some things that it just exposed a lot, which is what illness does, or what I'm going to say the wilderness does. The wilderness exposes you to things. So I just thought it'd be fitting that the very first thing that I kind of discuss and I want to talk about is the children of Israel in the wilderness. I want to come from Numbers, the very first chapter, and I'm probably just going to talk about the very first verse, because in that verse, it speaks to the whole scenario surrounding me and where I was and what was going on with me. And I know I couldn't have been the only person that was going through that. So let's go there. I want to take us out of Exodus and into Numbers. The children of Israel have they left Egypt. They've been gone for about a year, and here they are wandering in the wilderness. And this is how it starts. The very first verse, it says, "And the Lord spake unto Moses, O Moshe, in the wilderness of Sinai, in the tabernacle of the congregation, on the first day of the second month, in the second year after they were come out of the land of Egypt, saying," put a pause there. So here's Israel, where I feel like here I was. God had made some promises. God said some things, liberated me or allowed me to come to a place of completion where I was starting to see some of the things that he said. And then here comes the wilderness. The thing about the wilderness where you have to be careful, you have to realize the wilderness is always a temporary situation. The wilderness is never designed for us to remain in that position. And sometimes we'll get stagnant. Sometimes we'll be there so long that we'll start erecting houses. We'll start building businesses in the wilderness. The hard thing to do is when you're building and you're establishing things in the wilderness, it's not going to be long term. It's either going to be destroyed. You're not going to have enough resources because it's not designed for you to stay there. I had to be reminded of that. This situation, this scenario, this wilderness was not designed for me to stay here. It's a learning period. It's a proving ground. It's designed for me to get the things that I need so that I can move to the real area or the profitable area, the promised area. It's just the go between. It's just the in between. The second thing that I had to realize is God still speaks to you in the wilderness. Now, here's the crazy thing. We think whenever we're going through these situations or these scenarios, that God is quiet, but he's ever speaking. The Bible says that he speaks in a still small voice. So sometimes you have to quiet the noises around you just to be able to be sensitive enough to hear what he's saying, especially when you're in the wilderness, because there are noises and there are things that are going around you in the wilderness and you're trying to figure out what is that. So instead of hearing from the Lord, you're hearing the lions and tigers and bears and you, oh my. So for myself, I had to get into a place where I had to quiet my spirit. So and recognize and realize God is still speaking here. God is still speaking to you. Whatever wilderness that you're facing right now, whatever scenario you're going through right now, it's only temporary. Sometimes you'll have to go through a little bit. Now we know, because we know the end of the story, that they wandered about 40 years in the wilderness. This is just year one, and God begins to speak to them about what it is that he wants them to do. So wherever you are in your season of the wilderness, remember this: God is still speaking. God is still talking. Don't stay right here. It's only temporary. What I had to ask yourself these same set of questions. Lord, what is it you want me to know in this? What is it that I need to learn in this? What is it that I need to get rid of? That was another big thing in the wilderness. As they were in Egypt, there are some things as they were leaving Egypt that Egypt left in them. So as they left Egypt, they had to get Egypt out of them. So what is it, God, that has to get out of me while I'm in the wilderness? These are things that he's speaking. So as he's speaking these things, be sensitive enough to hear. Some things he's going to ask you to let go. Some people he's going to ask you to let go. And it might not be good or bad. It's seasonal. They're not needed. It's not needed in your future. Hold on to that. Don't stay in your wilderness.